Welcome back to another episode of The Next Comment. I'm your host, Daughter Latoya Whitaker, and I am with K-Leaf Court number 90, Oasis of Greensboro in the desert of North Carolina. And I'm here today with a very special guest. She's a candidate running for the Imperial 3-year Auditor position. And I'm going to let her introduce herself.
I am Daughter Coward with Kindah Court 43, Oasis of Fayetteville, desert of North Carolina.
All right. What motivated you to run for the office of the Imperial 3-year Auditor?
Well, I'm going to tell you is after being on the divan with Kindah Court and trying to figure out where you fit in with this organization, I went to Imperial session in 2023. And upon arriving at the Imperial session, we learned that audits had not been done since 2019. And so my experience from being in the military and working with the federal government after, I have 38 years, but with that experience, I figured out where could I serve this organization better. Mm-hmm. So what I decided to do was look at where those problem areas were and how they fit into my career or how my career fit into the organization. Right. And so I decided to run for an auditor. At the current moment, I am the desert auditor for North Carolina. And like I said, this has been my career. You know, I have expertise in conducting audits and reconciliation through my military time on active duty, as well as right now I'm working with the federal government. Like I said, I've worked on the NASA program where I've conducted an audit for $209 billion.
$209 billion with a B?
Well, you know, the NASA program is the space shuttle program.
Right.
So we think about NASA, you have to think the space shuttle. It's a lot of money to go into that program. Also, I've conducted audits with Boeing. And, I know everyone knows about the planes and flying and everything, but I've conducted audits with them, which totaled like $27 million. So I have done audits on large organizations in the military and as well as the private sector when I lived down in Charleston, South Carolina. So, the time that it takes to go in to look at what a recorderess or to track money or what a treasurer does is very time consuming. At this particular point in this organization, I feel like I've learned enough to understand that it takes a lot of manpower, a lot of hours, a lot of dedication to go into this. And when we sit in organizations such as this one and we see that audits are not done, there's a problem. If you actually look in Black Business Newsweek, you'll see that the majority of Black-owned businesses fail because we are just not financial literate. We're not tracking it. I think the Imperial Commanderess mentioned herself is we need to own our own property. Right. And we need to be able to track it. Right. We should be holding people accountable across the board. And when we select people to be an auditor, we need to look at experience, not that friend personality or that person that have sat there for a while. We need to look at, the experience as a whole.
What are your top 3 priorities if elected?
My top 3 priorities would be, 1 is to get some concrete parameters in place for the treasurer, for the recorderess, and for the auditors. Right. I would also say to ensure that we can get an internal audit done on time, balanced, right, as well as get external audits done so that we can keep these financial records for this organization balanced. We know as daughters in courts where our money is going to when it hits Imperial, and Imperial know exactly where that money is going and how we need to allocate it and where we can move, funds around to be able to better support our organization.
What makes you the best candidate for the job?
I feel that I'm the best candidate for a 3-year auditor at the Imperial level is because I have, like I said, the 38 years experience. I have 16 years in the military. I am a retiree. I have 22 years working for the federal government where I have conduct audits. As I just recently mentioned, I've conducted audits on, large private sector and the military. I feel that I have the need to, the skills that is going to represent what an auditor is supposed to be: the attention to detail, the analytical skills, the research skills, and the time to put in the attention to detail to ensure. I myself am a person that believes that financial literacy is very important to African Americans, to large organizations, and to these volunteer organizations that we dedicate our time to. So I feel that I'm the best candidate because I have the time to invest. I have the experience to be able to get us where we need to be financially.
Well, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing our domain today?
I would say the largest challenge that we have is being unified with the nobility, the council. I would say sticking together as being my sister's keepers, and I would also say just collectively that unification of the nobles and the daughters. We need to become more unified in order to keep the organization functioning.
Who are your role models and why?
I come from a family of 6 girls.
Okay.
So I'm like the tomboy. I'm like the boy my dad never had. So, and my nephews always say, "Oh, that's my uncle I never had." So I'm that person because I'm more like my dad. So my dad has been my biggest role model because he's taught me financial literacy. He taught me how to stand up for my family. He's taught me how to stay on track. My military experience come from him being in the Navy, and how to, just stay on track. He's motivated me and taught me so many things that a woman should know as a mother, as a wife, as well as, how to maneuver in being professional in the work environment. So my other role model would be past commanders Faye Milner out of Menez Court out of Lawton, Oklahoma.
Okay.
She, when I actually joined OES, she was the person that guided me through. So she taught me how to conform to leadership positions, how to read, to understand, the bylaws of the court, and how to just, conduct business. My more local mentor is past commander Gwen Johnson with Kindah Court. She's in Oasis of Fayetteville. She's my next role model is because she has a lot of military experience. She's very stern. She's fair. She has taken me in when I joined the daughter. She took me in and was like, "Hey, you need to learn. You need to read. Don't listen to what someone else is saying, but read it and understand it for yourself." When she was the commanderess, she ensured that I knew what I was doing. I was where I was supposed to be, understanding, how to maneuver through this.
All right. Now, do you have any other thoughts and insights that you would like to share with us?
Well, during the Scale Day weekend in the desert of North Carolina, once the Imperial deputy for the desert of North Carolina, past commander is Trudy Jackson Thorne, mentioned, that I was going to be, I had been endorsed by North Carolina and that I was going to be running for representing North Carolina, running for the Imperial Internal 3-year Auditor. I'm gonna say a lot of people over this past weekend of our Gala Day asked questions in regards to how do you feel you qualify because you're just a daughter. You're not a past commander, honorary past commanders. And I think it's important that people understand that in 2021, our approved Imperial Court Constitution and General Laws, your Article 5 for Imperial officers, Section 3 eligibility of Imperial officers, and letter E, elected standing committee members do not have to be a past commander or honorary past commanders. So I think getting that article out to people is something that, you know, sometimes we just don't know. And then sometimes we only look in the Constitution when things in there present itself to us and it affects what we're doing.
At that moment.
So, exactly. So I feel like, you know, my one thing that I would want to get to everyone across the domain when it comes to looking for, you know, looking at me and evaluating me and determining if I am the best candidate and best person that can serve this domain, I would hope that they look at the article in the Constitution to understand that, hey, it is, you know, we voted, and that I do fit the qualifying the skills in order to run for that position. I would hope that they look at my 38 years experience. I would hope that they stop and ask me questions. How did you manage to conduct a $209 billion project audit for NASA? How did you get to here? You know, how did you, you know, what my experience really is, instead of saying, well, she's just a daughter. And even if I'm not an honorary past commander or a past commanderess, I have the experience that I know that, hey, we can read what's in the Constitution. You know, I'm dedicated to ensuring that financial literacy, I'm dedicated in ensuring that, you know, this organization, you know, is like all the other organizations that we know outside of here, that we're working in the green and not the red, you know, so.
Well, thank you for coming on our show.
Well, I appreciate